This is Carla Hinton. I'm here in the studio with Adam Soltani, Executive Director of the Oklahoma chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, which we call CAIR. He's here to talk about a new guidebook that CAIR recently released. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming, and you haven't been in a while.
It has been a little while, yes.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so CAIR-Oklahoma has released other guides in the past. What made you decide that you would put together a guide called Guide to Islam and Muslims in Oklahoma?
Right. Well, you know, over the years, we saw a need to release educational material to help our Oklahomans understand certain aspects of the Islamic faith teaching and the Muslim community in the state. As a civil rights organization, some of the first guidebooks we put out were the Employer's Guide, the Educator's Guide, and the Healthcare Provider's Guide, because those are some areas where we saw increased amounts of discrimination over the last 13 years in our civil rights work. What we realized, though, is that we didn't have a single resource that we could give to just an everyday Oklahoman to help them better understand the Islamic faith teachings, how that applies to us living in Oklahoma, and to know the Muslim community better. So we realized we need to create that, and that's why we now have the Guide to Islam and Muslims in Oklahoma. It's the first ever resource book created geared towards the Oklahoma community with information about the Islamic faith teachings, interfaith aspects of Islam, demographic information about our local mosque, Islamic centers and schools, some of our social and civic engagement work, as well as some of the challenges that we face in Oklahoma as it pertains to Islamophobia, anti-Muslim backlash. And why did we decide to release this right now? Is because we have seen historically over the last 7 years in particular that with each election year there's unfortunately an increase in anti-Muslim and Islamophobic rhetoric, especially on a national level, and that has its impact on Oklahoma. So we wanted to be proactive to release information that people could understand our community and hopefully dispel some of those myths and misunderstandings and misconceptions, because we know statistically that if you know a Muslim, you're much less likely to harbor animosity or hatred towards Muslims. And so we hope that this will work to build bridges of understanding in our state.
Okay, interesting. Well, one of the things that I found interesting is that the guide appears to break some news in a way. I was reading through it and I noticed a mosque that I didn't know about. So it turns out there's a new mosque that recently opened up on the south side of the metro.
That is correct. That makes 6 Islamic centers or mosques in the Oklahoma City metro area and 1 Islamic school K through 12. So we have grown from where it was about 3 to 4 20 years ago. We've doubled pretty much in size. So the newest Islamic center is a Crossroads Islamic Center. It's located right off I-35 and Southeast 66th Street, right next to the old Crossroads Mall shopping center. And yeah, it's a perfect place for travelers to stop and pray. It services a lot of Muslims who work or live on the south side of Oklahoma City, Midwest City, Moore, even North Norman. So it's a new center, completely renovated from the ground up, and they open their doors for people to visit and for Muslims in the community to come and worship.
Okay, good. Thank you for that information. What other information is included in the guide? You talk about maybe statistics, or maybe there's talk of maybe some discrimination that has occurred. That sort of thing.
Well, you know, one of the biggest challenges, and that kind of speaks again to why we created this booklet, is that there is Islamophobia that exists in Oklahoma and in America. And in Oklahoma alone, we have a couple of pages towards the end of the book in which we discuss some of the civil rights issues and the hate crimes that Muslims have seen in Oklahoma. Things such as people facing verbal abuse, physical abuse, Islamic centers being targeted, elected officials saying anti-Muslim things, very hurtful things. In fact, most recently this year, we had December 2018, Janan Aish and her family from Enid, Oklahoma were visiting Dallas over the New Year holiday in early 2019, and she was physically and verbally assaulted to the point that she received a concussion and had to go to the emergency room. Also this year, we've helped people who have been harassed by law enforcement just for being Muslim. We've helped people who have faced issues traveling just for being Muslim. We've also helped people who are still facing employment discrimination and discrimination in the school place, being bullied for being Muslim. So the reality is being Muslim in Oklahoma is not easy, and we want people to realize that and realize that they can make a difference just by getting to know their Muslim community and by sharing that message with others.
Okay, okay. So how do you hope people will use this guide? You just said that you're hoping people can use it as a catalyst maybe to connect and maybe talk about Muslim neighbors and friends in a positive way?
Yeah. Feel free to use the guide however would be beneficial. You know, it is an introduction to the Muslim community. It is an opportunity to get together in discussion groups, share it with maybe your church groups or your community groups. You can use it as a tool, as a resource. It's available on our website, www.CAIR-Oklahoma.com. That's CAIR-Oklahoma.com. Okay. If you want physical copies, you can put a request in on our website, contact us, and we'll give you as many copies as you like. The purpose of this is to create discussion, to create awareness, and hopefully people will leave understanding more about the Muslim community than they did before and realize that Muslims are not different than any other Oklahomans. Maybe we practice our faith a little differently, but I think if you read through this booklet, you realize we have a lot more in common than we have different, and there's a great foundation we can build upon as people of faith, as people of Oklahoma, as human beings.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming in to discuss this guide.
Absolutely.
I'm Carla Hinton, reporting for The Oklahoman and Oklahoman.com. For more information, read The Oklahoman.